All been in this stage where we feel lost, we feel different from everyone else around us. We don't relate to others anymore as we used to. And it's like we try so hard to fit in. Now, I don't mean to start off the video negatively. This is positive, but hear me out. I know this topic can be negative. Being alone, a lot of people don't like being alone. But with the thing I call the lonely chapter, I really see positive in it. I really do see positive in being alone. And I'm going to explain why. So first, I want to take you all through a simple exercise, just a simple exercise. So I want you guys to visualize the best version of yourself inside your head. I want you to describe this version, whether you write it down or you just visualize it inside your head so you think, okay, what do they look like? What status are they at? How much money do they have? What car do they have? What kind of house do they live in? What place do they live in? What is their career, their online job, their online business? What do they do for a living? What is that best version of yourself, right? What is their physique? And just think of all of that. Think of all of that together, boom, compile it into one thing and think of it. Now, okay, now you've thought of that best version of yourself. Now, here's the thing. In order to get to that version, right, you're gonna have to be alone. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. You're gonna have to take out certain distractions and people out of your life in order to attain it, in order to attain those things. That is why the lonely chapter is necessary. That's why learning how to be alone is necessary to actually succeed in life. And this is how I succeeded as well. Well, obviously, I'm not at where I want to be at yet with YouTube and my personal brand and me as a person, but I've already had many success in the past. I lost over 85 pounds. I used to be the 240-pound kid, and I had no hope for my future. But the moment I realized that, I had to lock in and change my life and do things that everyone else around me wasn't doing. Like tracking my calories, doing the cardio, not eating the junk food, missing out on hangouts, missing out on many things, taking people out of my life, taking those bullies out of my life. I had to make many sacrifices, many lonely nights where I was forced to do cardio, where I lifted weights, and it was all worth it. Because I also couldn't really relate to anyone else either. I had no one to relate with because I was the only person in my circle, you know, kind of on my team that, hey, I was losing weight. Weight loss kind of was a lonely journey for me. And so I kind of learned throughout the way that, hey, you know what? I know that everyone's different from me. I know I'm different from everyone, but I've made something out of myself. And those lonely nights made me who I am today. And it still applies to me today because I choose not to live the normal life. I never really wanted to live a normal life, right? I've always wanted to eventually become maybe a bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder. Also want to be a social media influencer, a personal brand, a content creator. And that's always been a dream of mine ever since I was younger. Ever since I was in high school, actually. I've always wanted to be a content creator. I've always wanted to improve others' lives. I've always wanted to share my knowledge, my wisdom, and my weight loss story to the world. And that's what I desire for. And I know it's lonely. It's lonely because no one else around me is like that. No one else around me, like family, even my own freaking friends, they don't understand. They don't really understand my goals and really what I want. And so, yeah, I feel alone because they can't relate with me sometimes. And that part is okay because you have to learn how to love yourself first. Once you learn how to love yourself in those alone times, in that lonely chapter, that self-love is going to create a better version of you, a better character. With the lonely chapter, the gym is a really good example because like a lot of you guys go work out alone and you know, you have those lonely lifting sessions, you have those tears in your eyes, but that pain, that non-pleasurable moments will lead to a better outcome, will lead to you attaining a better physique, becoming a better person, becoming a more disciplined and focused person in the end state. And so these lonely chapters in our lives, these moments where we're in our room alone, they're necessary. They are necessary for your success. Oh, hold on, guys. This does not mean you need to isolate yourself from everyone. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the point where I'm getting at. Feeling alone is something internal. You guys are thinking too much of the external. Okay, now I have to isolate myself from everyone. No, that's not what we're doing here. That's not what the lonely chapter is. You could be locked in for a certain period of time, but you don't have to be self-isolating yourself all the time. There's certain nights, there's certain times in your business or in your work that you really do have to be alone and lock in and just get the job done. Like with me and weight loss. I wasn't fully alone, but there were nights where I was by myself and I couldn't rely on others. You gotta stop relying on others and rely on yourself and learn how to be alone with yourself and rely on yourself. You guys try to surround yourself too much with people a lot of the time. But once you start relying on yourself, you become a better person. And this doesn't mean you consistently look for attention. Like I said, learn how to rely on yourself. And I'm not saying I'm depressed just because I said, oh, I don't feel like anyone around me. I feel like no one around me relates to me. Sometimes that can actually be a good thing because it shows how much unique of a person you really are. You are unique to who you are. We are all meant to be different. And so when we feel alone, it's like, yeah, I get it. You want to fit in with your friends. You want to understand the jokes. You want to play those games with them. But it's like, sometimes you got to take that away, lock in, and when you come back to it, you actually get a more, how do I say this? A more rewarding feeling from it. It's weird. It's weird. And I've just embraced the fact that, hey, we just have different goals from each other. And it's okay to self-isolate yourself for a little bit of time, understand what you really want from life, where your purpose is heading, where your life direction is heading, and you really need to figure out things. Because being alone, going through that lonely chapter, you're figuring out what to do with your life. It's a good opportunity to really dive in deep into yourself and figure out who you are as a person. There's an exercise that I do where you're basically alone in your room. And you set a timer for like 30 minutes. And you have nothing in there. Now, what I'm not saying clean out your entire room. Be a little more intuitive here. Think about it. You have a wall. You can look at the wall. Or you can sit there and do nothing. And so when the 30 minutes pass by, what you realize is, hey, you know what? It's not that bad to be alone. I can be alone and work on my business. I can be alone and work out at the gym. I can be alone and get things done. I could be alone and enjoy some time for myself. When you want to become a higher version of yourself, and when you're going through this lonely chapter, like I said, you have to take those sacrifices and take out those people that sometimes don't understand you or accept you for who you are. And it's necessary to grow, because as we grow as people, certain people come and go in our lives. And that's okay. And that's just part of life. With being alone in my room a lot of the times, because, well, I'm an introvert, and with my weight loss journey and being alone at the gym, I've realized many, many things about myself that I would have never realized if I were to just sit down and take the time to actually reflect on my life, reflect on who I was as a person, and really reflect on, okay, what do I want from this life? What are my goals? What internal things do I want, and what external things do I desire for? How can I become a better person every day? How can I self-improve myself? And I journal and journal and journal. And it's like that time alone, it's worth it. It doesn't have to always be with someone. And even if it's not with someone, we still have those fears. The fears of being misunderstood, the fear of being alone, the fear of being rejected. We all live with these fears, and it's okay, because when you're alone, you can see through those fears even more and reflect on them and be more aware of them. But that can lead to more self-awareness in yourself. And so basically the point of this video is be more self-aware, embrace the lonely chapter, do the harder things that most people aren't going to do. And there's times where you just have to sit down and get that job done and do it. And do the task. Do the task that is in front of you. Stop relying on others for emotional support or logical support. Sometimes you have to learn how to be alone and make those decisions for yourself. Not rely on others all the time. Not be around all the time. So, please hit the subscribe button. I'll make more videos like these in the future. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening through my wisdom, my past stories, and like I said, subscribe if you want to keep updated with my journey. I also have a lifting TikTok and Instagram. So check those out. I'll see y'all later.